Not crying, not screaming, just smiling, as if nothing was wrong. But why? Why would royalty be trained to hide pain behind a smile during one of the most intense and vulnerable moments of their lives? In this video, we will uncover a world where childbirth was not a private matter. It was a royal performance. You will discover why queens gave birth in public, why their expressions were carefully controlled, and how this smiling mask was a powerful symbol of duty, strength, and politics. We will explore the hidden rituals, the strange traditions, and the emotional pressure royal women faced, from ancient palaces to elegant French courts. You will also learn how royal midwives prepare queens, not only for labor, but for the crowd. And by the end, you might ask yourself, was that royal smile a sign of grace or a mask for pain? Welcome to History Screen Channel, where history hides in the most unexpected places. If you enjoy stories that challenge what you thought you knew, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Let's begin. In today's world, childbirth is a deeply private experience. Families close doors, doctors protect space, and a woman giving birth is given peace, privacy, and care. But for royal women in centuries past, the story was very different. Royal births were not hidden behind curtains. They happened in public, sometimes in front of dozens, sometimes even hundreds of witnesses. From French queens to English princesses, royal women were expected to deliver heirs in open chambers, surrounded by courtiers, doctors, midwives, and noble observers. Why? The answer is power. Childbirth for royalty was not just about giving life. It was about proving legitimacy. A baby born behind closed doors could raise suspicion. People might claim the child was switched or not truly of royal blood. A public birth with witnesses removed doubt. But there was more. It was not enough to just give birth. A queen had to show strength, grace, and control. She had to smile. That smile was not about comfort. It was a performance, a message to the court and the country. It said, "I am strong, I am worthy, I am royal." Pain was real, but showing it was not allowed. Etiquette demanded poise, culture demanded silence, and the crown demanded a smile. Even in agony, royal women were expected to look calm, elegant, and untouched. By suffering, it was duty in its rawest form, wrapped in silk and ritual. Imagine being in labor. You are in pain, you are exhausted, and yet dozens of people are standing around you, watching every move. For queens in early modern Europe, this was not a nightmare. It was reality. Take Queen Marie Thérèse of France, the wife of Louis XIV. When she gave birth, the court gathered courtiers, noblewomen, doctors, even guards filled the room. Some leaned in to get a better view, some just watched from a distance, but all were there for one reason: to witness history. Royal births were public for a purpose. In a world filled with palace intrigue and whispers of betrayal, nothing could be left to chance. The most important question was, is this child really of royal blood? To prevent rumors of baby switching, nobles stood close by. They watched the moment of birth to confirm it with their own eyes. This was not about comfort. It was about control and the atmosphere. Far from quiet music sometimes played in the background, ministers stood by. Letters were ready to be sent across kingdoms, announcing the arrival of a future king or queen. The queen, meanwhile, was expected to hold her composure. She could not cry out. She could not break down. She had to show the world that royalty could endure anything with dignity. Her pain became a public spectacle. Her body, a symbol of the state. And in the eyes of the world, every contraction was tied to power. Royal life was not just about jewels, palaces, and titles. It was about discipline. Even in moments of suffering like childbirth, queens were expected to act with grace. Historical records show that queens were trained to stay composed during labor. This training was not medical, it was social. It was about control from a young age. Aristocratic women learned how to sit, speak, walk, and yes, even how to give birth in public, without breaking the rules of royal behavior. One rule stood above the rest: do not show pain. Smiling through childbirth was not a sign of joy. It was a symbol of power. A queen's smile was a mask. It told the world she was in command. Even of her body's agony, crying or shouting was seen as weakness. Even shameful nobles were expected to be stoic, and queens had to be the perfect example of this. Idea came from deep within the culture of European courts at that time. Showing emotion was considered low-class silence. Calm and elegance were signs of high status. A royal woman in labor was told to smile not because it felt good, but because it proved she belonged to the highest level of society. In the most private moment of her life, a queen had to perform, and behind that royal smile was a lifetime of lessons in etiquette, control, and the unspoken pressure to never let anyone see her break. Behind every royal smile in the birthing chamber, there was real pain, while court rituals demanded grace and calm. The physical toll on royal women was immense. Many queens endured long, difficult labors, often without proper medical care by today's standards. Queen Victoria, for example, experienced extreme pain during childbirth. She eventually used chloroform during the birth of her 8th child, despite some doctors opposing it. For her, the relief was revolutionary, but even then, the suffering was still long and exhausting. Other royal women were not so fortunate. Breech births, when the baby is positioned feet first, were especially dangerous in many cases. Midwives or physicians had to intervene with crude tools and very little knowledge. These methods often left permanent damage or, worse, ended lives. Despite the pain, queens had to remain still. They had to stay composed, surrounded by witnesses. They could not scream, they could not show fear. Their faces had to remain calm, sometimes even smiling. While their bodies trembled from exhaustion and agony, the emotional strain was just as heavy as the physical. A royal woman could not cry out or ask for privacy. She had no choice but to perform behind the silks, behind the crowns, and behind the smiles. There were women in pain, women forced to hide their suffering, because tradition demanded it, because reputation demanded it, and because the crown never paused. Even for childbirth, behind every royal birth stood a team of highly trusted women midwives, who were more than just medical helpers. They were guardians of tradition, protectors of royal secrets, and quiet teachers of performance. Famous royal midwives, like Louise Bourgeois, who served Queen Marie de Medicis, and Madame du Cadre, known for her work with French nobility, were trained not only in childbirth, but in courtly behavior. They prepared queens for the pain of labor, but also for how to manage that pain in front of a watching audience. These women coached future queens in posture, breathing, and silence. They taught them how to sit with grace, how to breathe without gasping, and most importantly, how to keep a calm face no matter what happened. Midwives also used physical objects meant to bring protection and ease. Girdles, special belts were wrapped around the queen's waist, believed to aid in a safe birth. Charms, herbs, and handwritten prayers were placed near the bed, often stitched into the sheets or tied around the body. These objects were not just for comfort, they were part of deeply held beliefs. Birth was not only a medical event, it was spiritual, symbolic, and political. The midwives balanced all three. They helped guide babies into the world, but also helped shape the queen's image in front of the court. With every ritual, every whispered prayer, and every calm instruction, they helped turn childbirth into royal theater. A smile can mean many things: joy, kindness, comfort. But for royal women, especially during childbirth, a smile meant power. In many royal courts, especially in early modern Europe, the smile was not just a reaction. It was a symbol, a tool used to send a message. A queen who smiled during labor was telling the world that she was in control, that no matter how much pain she felt, the crown came first. Smiling through agony showed resilience, something the court admired deeply. Monarchs were expected to be more than human. They were supposed to be stronger, wiser, and closer to the divine. A calm face during childbirth reinforced the idea that queens were chosen by God. Their strength was not only physical, but spiritual. Culturally, smiling also reflected the ideals of the time. Nobles were trained to hide emotion. Crying or frowning in public was considered lowly. A royal smile was more than etiquette. It was a performance of superiority. A visual signal of grace under pressure, even in their most vulnerable moments. Queens were expected to appear perfect. The smile was their mask. It showed the people and the court that their ruler was not shaken, that even during labor, she carried the dignity of the crown, and so, in the middle of pain, surrounded by whispers and watchful eyes, the royal smile became a quiet act of power, not just for the queen, but for the monarchy itself today. Royal births are private. There are no grand audiences, no courts watching, no pressure to smile through the pain. Modern royals now give birth in hospitals, surrounded by medical professionals, not courtiers. Privacy is respected, comfort is prioritized. The focus is on the well-being of the mother and child, not on ritual or tradition. The atmosphere is quiet, calm, and supportive. Compare that to centuries ago, when queens gave birth under the gaze of dozens, sometimes hundreds, of people. Then, a royal birth was a public spectacle. The queen was expected to perform sitting still, smiling and saying nothing. Her pain was hidden. Her emotions tightly controlled. That contrast could not be sharper. Today's royal women, like Princess Kate of the United Kingdom, are offered emotional care, pain relief, and dignity. They choose how much they want to share with the public. They are no longer forced to prove anything to the court. This shift reflects deeper changes in society. We now value emotional health. We accept pain as real, and we no longer demand that women smile through suffering just to protect an image. Still, the echoes of the past remain. The fascination with royal birth continues, but behind today's closed doors, it is no longer a test of silent endurance. It is a moment of personal joy, treated with care, and finally, with humanity behind every royal smile. There was a storm of pain, political pressure, and public expectation. Royal women were expected to do more than give birth. They were expected to perform, to represent strength, and to protect the image of the crown, all while enduring some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives. Smiles were not simple. They were symbols. They masked fear. They hid pain. They upheld centuries of tradition where privacy was a luxury even queens could not afford. Now, think about this. What does our right to privacy mean compared to the royal performance of the past? In a world where personal moments can be protected, where suffering does not have to be masked for an audience, how lucky are we to be free from that spotlight? As we reflect on these hidden stories from royal history, we begin to see that behind the elegance and the gold-laced sacrifice, and often silence. If you found this story surprising, eye-opening, or thought-provoking, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment to tell me what shocked you the most.